Okay, let's continue on here. Now you will notice I haven't set this line yet. However, you can do all kinds of fun stuff here, and you can change the different appearances of the actual line itself. These are just things to be playing with and for you to understand. Okay, that having a line literally is very flexible. Now remember, you can still move the line anywhere you want until you place it. Now, the reason I'm doing this is I want to place that line, and let's try this. Now, you'll notice here that you've got your fill rounded, and you've got either dashed lines, you can do dots and dashes, you can do a solid line. These are entirely up to you. This is how much flexibility you have within this program. Please be aware of this. Now you also notice I'm still on layer 2. So let's go ahead and remove that. Move up to layer 4, and let's place this dotted line here. On parallel with that one. And now you'll notice, being on layer 4, I've added this new one. Now in order to make this disappear or not appear on the canvas, I can just click on the layers properties here. There's a checkbox here. I can click on the checkbox and it will in fact make it disappear. Now this is something that's so versatile within this program. I urge you to practice with this in the layering process. Play with it. You're going to find so many uses for this, it's scary. This also gives you the flexibility while you're working within the layering process to work with more than one picture, more than one opacity. I mean, literally this will boggle your mind what you can do with different pictures and how you can manipulate the pictures. Anyway, let's go ahead and let's go to layer 3 now. And in layer 3, I'd already put a gradient. Now you can't see the gradient, so let me switch over to that just so you can see what I'm talking about. In the layer 4, I added the dotted line to the right with an arrow. On layer 2, there's a dotted line to the left arrow. Okay, in layer 3, I already have a gradient, but I haven't made that active or visible. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back over there and I'm going to put this to visible by clicking in that little checkbox. And now you can see in the checkbox, once I've clicked it, you see the gradient show up. Gradients are so versatile as well, but we're not going to get into that lesson today. The reason I'm doing this is I want to illustrate to you by looking at this picture. On layer number 4, you will notice that the line is crisp and it's very visible. On the other hand, on the layer 2 down here, with this arrow on this going to the left, you'll notice that the blue is now somewhat lighter, and it also blends a little bit better with the gradient. Now that can be swapped by simply manipulating your layer. Now, if I want to manipulate the layer, I can click to layer 2, which I'm doing right now, and then I'm going to switch over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this little arrow right here, and I'm going to force this layer number 2 to move up above the gradient, and you'll see the effect that it has. It's going to quickly become crisp and clear like the blue, and that is exactly why it's fun to work within the layering process. And I can take layer number 4 and I can move that down 2 times and put it beneath the layer of the gradient. I also have the option, if I've already made this visible, but if I double click on it, or if I click on it and then I hit the F4 key, okay, if I click on it, I hit the F4 key, now my layer number 3, the gradient layer, I can, let me move this down here so you can see what's going to happen. I can change the opacity right to the point of it being completely clear, or I can move it halfway or anywhere in between. Also notice, I don't know if you can see this, but also notice if you multiply it, you can have different effects within the window. Now, you'll notice here I can go from normal, multiply, additive. Now you notice the additive changed the colors as well. So you do need to pay attention to what's changing on the canvas as you're changing the properties within the layer. Now you can do color dodge. Now you notice the color dodge added a blue and a purple. And you will notice the reflection changed the colors as well. Each of these particular things is going to have an effect. Please play with these. Please get to know these. The more you understand about the effects that you're having within the properties, layer properties, and the properties on each layer of the canvas, excuse me, are going to dramatically affect the outcome. Once again, let me move back up here to normal and then click OK. I'll leave the transparency at 50%. Now one more thing here. You'll notice the transparency on layer number 3. The total is 255, so 50% transparency is roughly going to be about 126. That's about 50% of opacity, which means you can see about half of the pixels or halfway through it. Again, going back here, you can change the layers. I can go to layer 2, and now I'm going to go to layer 2, and I'm going to drop it down again, and I'm going to put the layer 2 behind the gradient. And you can add more layers, you can add more gradients, you can come up with so many different effects. Let me go ahead and add another layer. Now I move to layer number 5. You can't see layer number 5, but I can hit the F4 key and you can see that I've added it. Okay, now I want to switch to a 50% opacity. Let's go here to 26. And now if I go with a different color, now you can't see this again, it's not showing up on your screen, but I click my primary color over to a bright blue, or let's try a red. Now if I click it over to a red and my background is, my secondary color is in fact white, when I click on my gradient tool and then I move the gradient from left to right, you'll notice I can have a very dramatic effect from pink or red, white, and blue. Now you also notice I can change how the color for the gradient is actually laid on. Now let's go ahead, click back onto layer number 2 and move it up above all of the gradient layers. And let's do the same thing with the layer number 4 now. Let me move, I'm on layer 4, I'm going to move it up to above both the gradients. Anyway, play with this, have fun with it, enjoy it, continue on with my lessons, and hopefully keep tuning in for more of my lessons. Thanks and have a good day.